vibes, stay blessed and stay blessed. It's your boy BLKFinesse. We are back. All right, Mr. Eric, let's see what you got for us today, man. Apparently some new Madden 24 gameplay animations revealed. Hopefully you saw the video. Once again, I strongly disagree that PC gamers should be on Madden. They were doing just fine hacking the crap out of Call of Duty. I do not like PC gamers. I'm so sorry. I refuse. Y'all get away with too much. Hey, I guess like make a Madden PC, and then make Madden consoles. Don't put them in the same. Crossplay with Xbox and PlayStation, bro.
Madden 24 is coming out really soon, and today in this video we're going to look at some of the new gameplay animations that are going to be going into the new game. Last year around this time we got an early look at some of the gameplay animations via the motion capture company that does the animations for EA Sports, and this year they've been posting a ton of content on their TikTok once again, so we're going to check out what's coming to the game in terms of gameplay. It's obviously not going to be all of the new animations, but we get a look at some of the bigger ones. And as of today, we are 2 weeks away from the Madden 24 beta, which means we're actually less than 2 weeks away from a lot of the big information coming out about the game via EA Sports. So make sure you subscribe with the bell icon on, because any day now we're going to be getting a ton of info straight from EA about Madden 24, and you're not going to.
Hopefully, I'll be able to keep up with Madden Ultimate Team.
Animations. The first one we have here looks like a new hurdle animation with the defender trying to take
Saquon
out
Barkley.
the legs of the runner, and the runner hurdling the defender. We don't really have a ton of good hurdle animations in the game. There's a couple. You don't really see many of them too often, but no problem with adding more of those. It's something you do see quite often.
Yeah, so with that animation by itself, the only person you're really going to see do that is Saquon. You rarely see anyone else do that. Like, so I think honestly, if they were to add an ability to that, I don't think they have ability besides like stumble or balance beam or something like that. Like, you don't see a hurdle superstar ability because you don't see many running backs hurdle
in the NFL these days. Now this one right here looks like a receiver maybe going for a catch that's a little bit out of reach. He's jumping back for it maybe, and he's being undercut and hit in midair. We know last year on the newer consoles they added a ton of new midair collisions and tackles to the game, which we hadn't seen in quite a while. So it looks like they're still going to be adding more of those. I'm always a fan of adding more animations because the animations really aren't the problem with the game. The problem is how they play out, the physics aspect of it, which they're still kind of working on. But
with that specific animation by itself, there's two ways to do that. It's either they catch it or they don't, because there's still ways you can get away with catching that ball. But I do agree, like, honestly, no, I think it is more so about the animations, because if we're talking physics, I don't know. Eric might be right on both ends, but then again, I feel like it's animation and the physics. Like, animations by themselves require players to actually do things based on attributes. For example, in Ultimate Team, you got an 80 overall versus a 90 overall, and the animations will automatically go to the 90 overall because of that. Like, the physics honestly don't matter because of the attributes. So that's where the animations come in. You feel me? So, with that animation by itself, it's like a. Now, if it's 99 versus 99, honestly, it's hard because it depends on the attributes. You feel me? Like, we talking, they got medium, short route, medium, short route, and deep route when it comes to receivers, and you got the corners just being man coverage and zone coverage. So I feel like they should add like a certain amount of extra attributes as far as how deep a person is able to cover. You feel me? If corners are able to cover based on a deep, middle, and short route, that would make more sense. Like, they should add that in there.
You need more animations to pull from, because if you have less animations, that's when you get the interactions where it seems forced or you're getting sucked into something that just doesn't make sense. The more possible animations and interactions you can pull from, the more realistic outcomes you can get. The problem with Madden over some of these years is the lack of animations in actuality, because that's why you would see just weird things that didn't make sense. So right here we're seeing, it looks like just another little gang hit stick type tackle. We know they put a lot of those into the game last year, so of course they're going to be adding more of those to the game this year as well.
Okay. And I'm going to just go based on animation versus animations. This video ain't that long to really go about, but with that type of thing, I do agree with that animation needing to be in there, because I'm tired of running backs breaking and bouncing off tackles against linemen. You feel me? There are people that are very much heavier than running backs, and running backs are bouncing off lineman hits. Like, once a lineman has a grab hold of you, you're not getting off of that unless you have some kind of explosiveness. Now, with two hard-hitting linebackers, or just two linebackers alone, you rarely see a running back beating that. Unless you're a Jerome Bettis, Derrick Henry, Steven Jackson, like big dudes like that, Brandon Jacobs, you'll rarely see a running back breaking two tackles right through the middle. Like I've seen too many animations where they just bounce off the linebackers. Like it's what?
Here we're gonna have a bunch of just running animations, breaking tackles,
Okay,
spinning
I've
out
seen
of
some of
tackles,
those.
juking out defenders. I know sometimes people see this and they get aggravated and they say, "Oh, I just don't like this in the game. This is gonna make me mad when defenders are missing tackles or when the jukes or the spins play out, and I feel like I just can't make the tackle." But in reality, these things happen in the NFL. Players tackle poorly and lazily in the NFL every single Sunday. I had to watch my team miss a million tackles last year or just make poor attempts at tackling or get faked out, and obviously it can be annoying when it does happen to you in a video game, but you need those things to play out in a video game because they play out in real football. Yeah, some of these right here you would say these are poor tackle attempts or these are defenders just not tackling properly, but the thing is in the NFL, the best players in the world do this all the time. People are lazy, people don't actually wrap up, people complain about their team missing tackles every single Sunday because yes, you have the good players that are going to tackle properly more often than not, but you have a bunch of players that just get faked out, that go high when they should go low, that don't wrap up, that just try to dive at players, and that's why you see so many big plays and so many broken tackles and people getting faked out. So I don't really have a problem with it in the game. The only issue in terms of Madden is sometimes with these animations, in order for them to kind of play out this way, there's often times where it feels like you're not in control of what's happening. You feel like that maybe your defender kind of gets pulled into a canned animation right before you click onto him, and thus if you're just like that half second late or that millisecond late, you kind of don't have the ability to make the tackle yourself. That's really the only issue with it. But I mean, when it comes to a video game, I think, you know, there's a fine line with that stuff, and sometimes it's really hard to, you know, have the perfect balance there. Here's some more animations with catches and hits after the catch and tackles.
Okay, so to go back on that juking animation, stuff like that, as a former football player, yes, I do agree. Some stuff like that happens. Actually, happens a lot. And I honestly agree with EA doing this because you see a lot of people sprinting and over pursuing and getting away with morphed tackling. Morph tackling is more annoying than morph juking. You feel me? Juking happens a lot more because of the defenders are over pursuing. Like they're, especially the ones who are hit stick happy. Like we're talking the hit stick happy users on Madden who just like to hit stick every chance they get because they want to get that fumble. Boom, 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 boom. And then they just constantly get away with it. Especially the ones who kick to the dang fullback. Like, come on, bro. If you see someone over pursuing and kickoff, they're more likely going to miss the tackle. But it also depends on how high the juke is. But yes, I agree with this. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, he's right. Sometimes it doesn't feel like you have any control over your defender. But that just tells you to stop over pursuing. Stop using that boost trigger to get to the person and hit stick him heavy as hell, and then you forget you're going up against Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson, like ultimate team players, or like Saquon and Christian McCaffrey. They're gonna make you look stupid on the field. You feel me? Like you're going up against people who have good running backs. Now Ezekiel Elliott, he jukes slower, or Brandon Jacobs, he jukes slower. Like bigger people juke slower, so it's understandable because they can run them over. Now with the jukes, I agree. It needs to happen. People over pursue and like to be hit stick happy, so that stuff needs to be in there.
After a catch, you're going to see some where they break the tackle after the catch and keep going. And again, these are things that when it happens to you when you're playing the game, like right here, it's going to aggravate you where they're breaking the tackle and running for a big play. But again, in the NFL, we see these things happen every Sunday. We see from all the games that are played, there's going to be a couple big plays where the guy catches the ball, somebody makes a poor tackle attempt, he just bounces off the receiver. I mean, we see guys like Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf, especially the bigger guys, AJ Brown, they do this all the time. Debo Samuel in the open field, people try to tackle them and they just bounce off of them and then they keep going and they turn a 5 to 10 yard play into a huge touchdown. So again, I don't really have a problem with them motion capturing animations like that because that is football. Again, the problem with Madden is kind of how they play out, or the biggest thing with Madden sometimes is you see certain ones play out way too often. You'll see something play out multiple times a game that typically in an average game you might not see that catch or that broken tackle type animation like in a real life setting. You wouldn't see it multiple times a game. So that's something I think EA really can work on, is making sure they have more animations and you're not seeing the same ones play out too often, because we've always seen there's like those few animations every year that they seem to trigger more often than others, and that's when it gets annoying and that's when it gets a little unrealistic. Here just looks like a new hit stick animation from the side, just kind of blowing a guy up. They've been adding a lot of hit stick animations over the last few years. That's something they try to kind of update, it seems like, a little more often, because people like the hit stick, people like big hits. So last couple of years,
okay, I think I keep missing it. Like his transition is it's starting to throw me off, but it's cool. The receiver situation when it comes to catching the ball, I haven't seen too many issues with that, only because of the fact that you got to think about the fact that, like, once you catch the ball, you don't see many receivers trying to break tackles. They're just trying to get the yards. So I don't know too much about many receivers just breaking tackles post catch, unless it's after a few steps. Like right after the catch, they're getting hit. Like, you don't see many people trying to stay up. You don't see many of them. Now with this one, like he said, they're very hit stick happy, and I feel like it needs to be based on timing and the angle. Hit sticks need to be much harder than it should be, because in real football, not many people will hit stick because it's called over pursuing. You're going to miss. Like, come on, yo.
they've definitely been adding more of those. Here are some more kind of hit stick midair tackles. You're going to see, I guess, people maybe diving for catches or diving with the ball for the pylon. You'll see, or just runners kind of getting caught in midair. Again, some of these, if they play out a little too often, they can look a little unrealistic. It can look a bit much at times, but these are things you see happen in the NFL. It's just about how EA can balance it to where you're not seeing, you know, every time somebody dives, they're getting hit the same way. Like, every time somebody dives, they shouldn't get hit. Every time somebody goes for a catch, if there's somebody near them, it shouldn't always be a midair collision. But I like that they're putting these types of things in the game.
Yeah.
It's just balance them out. Now here, there's a new gritty celebration. We've seen a lot of people do.
I think that last one's gonna be a little difficult because midair tackles are harder to make, but at the same time, they're not that hard for receivers. Like, once they're, honestly, I think it's good for aggressive catching, but it makes it harder if it happens too often, like he just said. Like, if you're aggressive catching in Madden, holding that triangle, that Y button, and you're midair and you're around like 2-3 people, their main priority is going to end up hitting you. You're going to drop the ball every time. So I think this Madden's finna revert back to favoring the DBs.
This last year where they kind of faked the hamstring injury. Here's another area I think that, you know, I don't mind the celebrations in the game. It's a big part of the NFL. I know some people will say, you know, there's way more important things, but if you're motion capturing, this is kind of part of it. You know, you're going to get a few new celebrations, especially you don't want to see the same ones play out all the time. There's a million different ways to do the gritty, so why not add more? And this was kind of a popular one last year. The one thing I will say is I think when it comes to some of the certain dances, maybe they could get some better guys to do it. I don't really have too much of a problem.
Yeah, everyone's
with this
favorite
okay,
animation when it comes to scoring is dancing.
Kind of like the Lil Uzi dance. I know he didn't come up with it, but he's kind of the most known for the dance. Like this one, it's okay, but it could be better, you know. And I think like this middle one right here that they showed a quick clip of, that kind of looks more like the Jason Kelce one. Maybe that's what they were going for like the bigger guys, you know, the guys that don't move. It's fluid when they celebrate. Maybe they're capturing multiple ones there, but just in general, I think there's guys that could probably motion capture this a little better, that have a little bit more rhythm. I like that they're putting them in the game though, because you see NFL players do this. I love when things are represented, even if it is something like a celebration. Here they're adding the sturdy celebration, which is another cool one. Again, I think they maybe could have got someone a little better to motion capture it. I mean, it's not the best sturdy I've ever seen. I'll just say that. I've seen people, you know, really kill this.
Hey, go ahead,
yo. Go ahead, mediocre version of it. But again, I mean, I'd rather it be in the game than not. I think anything that's popular that NFL players are doing, that should be represented in the game. The thing I hate is when they leave like some of the super old celebrations in the game, like when Odell still does the whip dance. Like nobody does that anymore.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I hated that
stuff out. Take out some of the celebrations that are corny and whack.
Really?
Right
the Baltimore? They added the Baltimore dance to that? I mean,
this one, it's okay, I guess, but it's not one of my favorite ones. I like when they actually take the real dances.
Look at it. They got that, man.
Getting sturdy.
They putting Baltimore in this joint.
I don't know what it's called. You know, forgive me. I'm not from Philly. Don't know what it's called.
Not Philly.
I
It's
like
Baltimore.
when they put that stuff in the game. And here it looks like they added a new team celebration as well. This one's a little.
I'm dead.
Much.
They're not
I don't
that
really
in
think
there.
you see NFL teams get this crazy with the celebrations. But again, I'm never gonna be against new things in the game. Things that make the game feel fresh, even when it's small things like this. A bunch of small things add up. If you add 20 to 30 small things, that adds up and it makes the game feel like something new. It doesn't feel like you're playing the same game. You're seeing different things play out, different animations, different celebrations, different things with presentation. So I'm never going to be against them doing that. Now, if you want to know more about Madden 24,
oh my gosh, this better be so goofy. I mean, I'm a little tad excited, but you know, the big talk of the year is maximum football. You feel me? The big talk of the year, I don't know. Is Madden 24 make a break? We gonna see. Comment, like, subscribe down below. Say what BLKFinesse, we out, man.